What's up, guys? It's the Dividend Profit here, and today we are going to be talking about Oatly. Now, I know that probably raised a couple red flags for some of you guys. Like, Oatly, what? This failed company, this company that's supposed to be on the verge of bankruptcy. They're not doing anything. Jeremy's failed choice pick. Yes, I know. Trust me, I know. But it's currently trading at 66 cents on the close, 71 cents on pre-market. The 5 day, 5 days looking pretty interesting. 5 days looking pretty interesting. We're getting a little bit of activity here, and I'm gonna go through the basics real quick before I start explaining myself. I mean, if you're looking on it from a 5 year return, a 3 year return, a 1 year return, I know why a lot of you guys aren't happy and want to stay away from this mess. And if you're not in it for risk, I would probably recommend staying away. Average trading price, guys, is 164. Like I said, current is going to be at like around 71 right now. Highest is going to be 273. We are beating earnings per share. I mean, for the people who do like to go off of analyst recommendations, it's kind of looking like a strong buy, guys. It's looking like a strong buy. Now, here is why I am really looking at Oatly. For those of you guys who don't know what Oatly is going to be an oat milk company that sells pretty much lactose-free milk made from oats. It's really a thing for this niche community of people that like to drink vegan and quote unquote vegetarian items, and even for people who just need something that doesn't have lactose in it. I, for example, am lactose intolerant. And the reason I'm really looking at this, guys, is because I actually indulge in their products quite consistently. Um, I have kind of made the pivot to lactose free stuff, and I'm constantly using oat milk, constantly using almond milk, constantly looking for alternatives myself because milk does not do well with my stomach, right? So I am very interested because I not only use their products and it's a good product, but I know the market behind it is good because sometimes, right, back in the day when I used to try to go get the products, they were always sold out. So we're going to kind of get into why I feel like they haven't performed as well over these past couple years, um, and why I feel like a lot of people have been so hesitant on it, and it makes a lot of sense. But we're also going to get into why I think it's going to turn around.
These are the three top-selling oat milk brands in the US. But this is probably the one you're most familiar with. That's because a few years ago, Oatly overhauled its marketing strategy, taking its products from Sweden to grocery stores around the world, including the US. Before Oatly expanded in the US, oat milk was relatively unknown to the US consumer. It was
And I am going to pause on that. I think part of Oatly's fall as well was that their marketing was a little too good to the point where they had put oat milk pretty much in the spotlight, right? And people were like, oh my gosh, this oat milk concept is so amazing and something that I want to take part in. But Oatly's marketing was so good, but they weren't able to get into the markets and stuff that they needed to get into fast enough. So they were doing all this great marketing and it was working, but people couldn't find Oatly in stores. And what happens when you can't find Oatly in stores? You go to their competitor. So they were essentially contributing to their competitor's revenue because of operations.
really Oatly that started the oat milk category in the US. But the company has a problem. Just look at their stock price. It dropped in part because Oatly can't keep up with the demand for oat milk, demand that it largely created. Here's why Oatly, a one-time Wall Street darling that brought oat milk to the American stage, has lost market share to rivals. Let's rewind to 2019, when demand for Oatly was rising thanks to quirky advertisements and placement in independent coffee shops. CEO Tony Peterson had brought his longtime friend John Schoolcraft to Oatly to build a creative department.
And we came up with this line: it's like milk, but made for humans. Very simple.
He created a team, which jokingly calls itself the Oatly Department of Mind Control, and rebranded with slogans like,
Wow, no cow.
but that wasn't the only tactic Oatly used. Oatly developed relationships with baristas in independent and third wave coffee shops, and it really became interesting, cool, and alternative amongst this niche market. And then the baristas started talking about it on social media. And as one of the only oat milk producers on the market, they helped create a craze. Since 2019, the oat milk market in the US has grown by roughly 330%. To maintain their buzzy status, Oatly needed to be able to produce enough oat milk to actually meet that demand, and that was becoming a problem. At first, Oatly had relied on contractors, which was expensive compared to making it themselves. So Oatly built its first US factory in milk.
And the margins, guys, on oat milk is not too crazy. So the fact that they were relying on contractors was already not a good thing if you were investing around this time period. Because I mean, it was so expensive, and their margins aren't that big that their revenue was really not as much as it could have been if they would have just started off independent.
Millville, New Jersey, but it didn't go as planned. Production at the Millville plant started about 6 months behind target, and it was hampered by poor planning. There was wastewater issues as well as equipment malfunctioning. An Oatly spokeswoman said there was no wastewater treatment system initially planned for Millville, and that one was added in August 2021. All wastewater from the new facility has been within permit range, she said. She added that it is best practice to scale production quickly to resolve technical issues, and the approach didn't cause delays, affect output, or increase cost. She said that, by any metric, our Millville facility is best in class in construction, execution, safety, and quality. In late 2018, Oatly had purchased a second factory in Ogden, Utah, but it didn't solve their problems, and in fact, it created more. At the Ogden, Utah plant, there was two major problems. One, they spent more than they intended. They had hoped to spend $50 million, and they spent over $100 million. And then second, they didn't finish on time. They had hoped to finish by early 2020, and it took way longer than that. An Oatly spokeswoman said the executives frequently updated the board on changes to the budget, adding that the budget was in line with other modern facilities. She also said that many of the challenges at the Ogden facility have been compounded by the pandemic, but the company has made continuous improvements. In 2021, Oatly's market share in the US was 26% of retail sales. That's a decrease of 6% from 2019, and stock prices have followed suit. Meanwhile, competitors saw demand for oat milk grow, and shortages of Oatly allowed them to swoop in and snag market share.
And like I said, guys, the shortage of Oatly was real, and that's one of the main reasons why I don't use their products as much as I used to. It's simply because when the market for oat milk was really at its peak, at its prime, right? Oatly cannot keep up with the demand whatsoever. We would go into an Oatly store, there'd probably be around two of them in there, and they would be like the ones with like the weird little tops on it, the crust on the side that nobody wanted to buy. All the good ones were always sold out. And so it drove demand for people to use their competitor. And the reason I'm emphasizing this too is because I actually used to use a lot of Chobani Oat, their second person that they're competing with, because I couldn't get access to Oatly. Doesn't mean Oatly was bad, but it was because their operations and they couldn't fulfill the demand. Anytime I would go into a store, I couldn't buy Oatly even if I wanted to because it just wasn't available.
Dairy giant HP Hood launched Planet Oat, which Hood says sells for $1 to $2 less than competing brands. Planet Oat overtook Oatly in 2021 and now leads the US retail market. Another dairy.
I also use Planet Oat a lot, which is kind of a thing, but we're going to get into why I'm still bullish on Oatly.
Company Chobani made their first venture into plant-based products with oat milk in late 2019. Chobani said they constructed a plant within a plant and that the construction took them less than 12 months and allowed for far more capacity than there was demand at the time. Now Chobani holds third place in US retail sales after Planet Oat and Oatly. Competitors such as Hood and Chobani really raced to jump in this market when Oatly was having troubles, and they capitalized on Oatly's struggles. Plus, Oatly stock has fallen about 80% since its IPO in May 2021. That summer, the board was considering a successor to Peterson. They specifically wanted a candidate with more operational experience, so Peterson could devote his time to business development, people familiar with the matter said. In April, Oatly hired a former senior executive at candy giant Mars Inc. as president. Oatly's chairman said in a statement that the hire was part of the board's succession planning and that the company is not considering a transition right now. Operational experience is very important because Oatly is trying to expand its manufacturing capacity and it's having production issues, and a lot of that stems from operational issues. Whoever leads Oatly going forward will face challenges.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna stop it right here because this video is a little bit outdated, but that was just so we can understand some of the troubles that they went through. This was 2 years ago, guys. They did get the CEO from Mars, so like I said, we're gonna talk about him. But once again, this is Oatly. I actually love their marketing. Like, I don't know if I agree with everything that they do necessarily, but realistically, this is one of the best penny stock. And when I say penny stock, I mean actual pennies right now, going for pennies on the dollar. One of the best websites I think I've seen by far. Now we're gonna go straight into the revenue and the financials. So first off, I just want you guys to quickly just glance over this because I do want to keep the video kind of short. I really do like the CEO. I really do. But we're gonna go straight into their third quarter revenue. 10.9% increase, right? I like to see an increase when it comes to obviously revenues. I mean, who doesn't when they're investing in tech company? Same with the gross margin, 29.8% increase from the prior year. Like to see it. Also, each operating segment reported positive EBITDA for the full quarter for the first time, right? For the first time. So this means we're making some first time movements. We're moving upwards. I like to see it. Now, EBITDA, obviously, some people see it as controversy to use that as an indicator. I still like to use it. Now, as far as gross profit, I mean, we're moving, guys. Gross profit was 62 compared to 32. Research and development expenses in the third quarter, it did increase, but one of the main reasons I feel like it increased was going to be to from the oat milk, the heavy whipping cream. It looks like butter. So pretty much what had happened was Oatly had sent out their products to their to their food service stores. They forgot to refrigerate it, which is just absolutely insane because it says make sure it's refrigerated. So they sent out thousands of dollars worth of like product, and it just pretty much was all spoiled, which was absolutely insane. So I feel like that's one of the main reasons that it increased, so that they can ensure that certain things are going the way it is. Also, new product launch in North America, right? They're really trying to focus on North America, which I think is a good idea because this is a Sweden-based company. Now, administrative expenses decreased, guys, 7.4 by 7.4 million. Expenses 79. I mean, prior 87. I like to see it. Also, 3.9 million in reduction for employee-related expenses. I just like to see, like I said, revenues increasing, um, and then expenses decreasing. I like to see that. It means that they're making an effort. Um, Financials, they're not bad. They're really not bad. I mean, we're seeing in their Europe and international revenues are increasing. North America revenues are increasing. The Greater China, the revenues are increasing, right? Corporate expenses are decreasing. Now, only red flag. I don't like to be overly bullish for no reason. Outstanding debt is kind of insane. 441 million. 441 million is a lot. Is a lot. Free cash flow is 133 million. Right. So debt is a lot. But once again, I like to see revenues increasing, right? And then expenses decreasing. As long as they keep this up, which I think that they will, I think we'll do a pretty good job. One thing I did want to touch on is Oatly announces further progress on its asset-light supply chain strategy. As you can tell, obviously in the video, they were having some operations problems. Now, with the closure of their Singapore facility, this should open up some more money, right? It should help some of the net cash flow kind of start moving. So I do like to see this. I really do. It's just showing initiative that they want to change and that revenues are increasing. Obviously, expenses are decreasing. I'm just keeping it super simple because I do want this to be relatively short. We are going to kind of get into the actual CEO of the company now. When a lot of these problems were happening, there was a completely other CEO, right? The one that they were kind of showing in the video. We now have this guy right here. I do not know how to pronounce his name correctly, but his name is Jean, right? Pretty much has 30 years at Mars. I like to see that. That means he has the experience that he needs leading multi-billion-dollar companies, right? I really do like to see that. Another thing that I also saw was this lady right here. She came in new, chief financial officer, right? And ever since they came in, guys, I mean, we're looking at last year compared to this year when we're glancing at the financials, they have been moving this company in the right direction by far. Not even just my opinion, straight up statistics just show it. So I really do love to see that. And like I said, if you guys are interested in being a long-term investor, I definitely recommend that you guys check out this PowerPoint presentation that they do have um, on their website. I mean, they're driving profitable growth. It's continued. It's continued. And China has been giving them a little bit of problems, I mean, in the past year. But I do like to see first full quarter of profitable growth in Q3. I really do. I really do. Now, as far as it comes to revenue consistency, I mean, we already touched in it. I touched on it a little bit. It's growing. It's going up. Oatly is not. they're not trying to go bankrupt, guys. They're giving it a fight, and that's what I really like to see. Um, Now, what's kind of important, and also they're trying to, work their way into the UK as well, which I think is a really good move for them, because their marketing is great, their marketing is amazing. They know how to get people encapsulated into the oat milk, um, culture. Now, what I think is important is distribution momentum. Now, making Oatly available to their consumers and their customers and potential customers is going to be what's really important. If they can sit here and genuinely keep their product stocked in these markets, continue their marketing efforts, and continue to try to, compete with their competitors, I mean, as any company would do, I think they could genuinely see a genuine turnaround. I mean, we've been hearing about a turnaround for years and nothing's happened, right? Years and nothing's happened. But the need in the culture of oat milk is growing. It's growing exponentially, right? We're seeing Starbucks start to offer more oat milk friendly alternatives. We're seeing these two, which I don't really know about if I'm being honest, also offer options. I'm really looking at Starbucks here when I say that. That one is going to be a big one for them, right? That one's going to be a huge one for them. Now, I am going to kind of go into how I love their marketing. Like, what company do you see making a website like this? I mean, about their company, because they got a lot of hate. They got a lot of slack, right? They literally wrote down everything everything that they were experiencing and dealing with, and then explained it. This is a cool little fun thing to look into too, if you guys have some time and are thinking about investing. Like, he literally sits here and talks about each thing that's something bad somebody can say. I mean, the marketing is amazing. I really do love it. It's laying out everything bad about the company kind of on paper. They're really trying to make a turnaround. What I also like to see, this one's kind of old, but I do like to see that the company is still making initiatives to partner with different things, still making marketing initiatives, still making progress on trying to better themselves and to try to get themselves out there. Now, I think pro cycling is really random. I personally don't watch it, but I do like to see it. Another thing, right? How profitable is the actual milk industry, their main competitor, really, trying to transfer people over from milk to oat milk in the first place, right? Dairy farming, in their profits, their margins aren't really that high, guys. Cows are super expensive, quote unquote, bad for the environment. Um, I mean, it's going to get interesting, right? Because dairy farms set to return to profit, but milk prices are going to increase. If oat milk and milk prices are hand in hand, like if milk is $4 and oat milk is $4, and a lot of people are hearing that oat milk is better for you, it's not going to make your stomach hurt, for the 68% of people who are lactose intolerant in the world, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to start looking at milk compared to oat milk, compared to almond milk, compared to silk, whatever, soy. I just think it's an interesting market. And like I said, they do have a lot of products. They have a lot of products. I mean, granted, theirs is solely just oat milk right now, but they're selling ice cream, guys. They're selling milk. They're selling stuff for your coffee. They're selling creamers, whatever. Another thing I wanted to mention, I don't really think this is going to be too big of a deal, because I mean, pasteurization is a thing. But when people start hearing about this stuff in the news, because we all know that, like, the news likes to kind of just sit there, post about things, and over exaggerate things sometimes. If they start talking about H1N1 in milk, and which is the bird flu, and a whole bunch of things about it infecting refrigerated raw milk, some people are gonna start to feel a little hesitant. Some people are gonna look at the news and be like, I don't know if I want to keep drinking milk. It makes my stomach hurt. And when they start seeing these alternatives consistently, especially if they continue their marketing efforts, guys, I think it's gonna be very interesting to look at it. And once again, 2 days ago, it's kind of gaining a little bit more traction. I mean, people are talking about it. People are looking at it. it's starting to become a little bit of a thing. Once again, guys, I am a short-term trader technically. I might think about this one in the long term, but like I said, long-term efforts, it has previously been a little rough. I think I would like to see a little bit more from them before I fully invest long term, but it has been getting traction, guys. People have been doing some in-depth research into Oatly. Oatly is not a forgotten stock in my opinion, and I think it will continue to kind of make somewhat of a comeback as time comes on. I mean, revenue increasing, cost expenses decreasing, marketing is beautiful. They're trying to capture more market share in North America, China, and Europe. I really do love to see it, guys. And that's just my small opinions on Oli. I wanted to keep this video as short as possible. But if you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up. Let me know if there's any other companies you would like me to go into further. I will probably be doing an options call on Oatly and maybe getting a little bit of shares. Still kind of debating, but this one is definitely on my watch list and maybe you guys should add it too. But I hope you guys have a good day and peace out.